Alright everyone, this is just a reminder that on my channel you get a lot of inconvenient truth and relatively less of the comforting lies that you can find elsewhere. My advice to people is if you want comforting lies, if you want to be told, if you want to be patted on the head and told everything's fine and normal right now, you might want to get more political commentary or social analysis from somebody who is part of the old guard, sort of establishment alt media as it used to be. Go and watch maybe Zhank or read Breitbart or something like that. You're not going to get it from me. I'm going to tell you the way I see things as really being. That is, I'm going to be truthful in my analysis. Like, let's say you support a political candidate. If I think they're going to lose and just get absolutely crushed under, I'm going to say that. And if it offends or bothers you that that's the case, what your reaction should be is try to endeavor to get in with that political campaign, tell them, oh, you're doing something wrong, here's a suggestion, send off an email or something like that. Just sitting there complaining about the moral ramifications of human movement doesn't work very well. It never has. It never will. You can put your head in the sand if you want. For instance, I talk to some progressives, and I can tell them right now, if the progressive movement doesn't disown the alt-left and begin attempting to take over where the neoliberals quite clearly are losing steam in this country, yeah, the left is going to suffer for a long time. Likewise, if groups that are sane within the right don't disown violence, political violence on the right, yeah, they'll suffer too. What you would see is both sides getting totally swept up in social panic and the current late-stage paradigm shift and getting ground underfoot, essentially. And there are a lot of people who don't want to hear that. There are a lot of people, they will put their heads in the sand, and they'll say, in their echo chambers, what they say is, oh, the right will rise forever, haha, we're in command now. Or, oh, leftism is the wave of the future. You know, this was what they used to say back in the 1950s and 60s as well. They looked over at the USSR and said, oh, communism will inevitably win. Soon we'll have space communism or something. And it never happened. And it won't happen, at least for the foreseeable future. In this current incarnation of reality for the next roughly 20-25 years, neither of these things will actually occur. There are plenty of people who think that pointing that fact out means that you're basing that on a moral ideology. It's not. It's basing it on an observation of human history and social movements in general that happens to be accurate. If you don't like that fact, if you want to be told that your worldview is true, there are places you can go, and you'll get that. You'll get the echo chamber. Whether it doesn't really matter what that echo chamber is. Like if someone who's hyper-religious, well, okay, then you can go to your religious study group, and they'll agree fundamentally with most aspects of your dogma, even if your dogma is totally inaccurate. They'll agree with your view to history, even if that's totally inaccurate. And it doesn't matter. You can talk to some group of people who are totally irreligious and just hate all spirituality. And again, you'll have widespread agreement. But you're in an echo chamber and you don't realize it. And any given echo chamber tends to be a small minority within a population. The fringe left and the fringe right in the political spectrum, it's the same as people who are really, really fire and brimstone versus people who are extremely antagonistic towards all spirituality. These are small groups. But they live in an echo chamber, so they think that it informs all of reality and that everyone else secretly thinks like them and only doesn't say it because it's part of a conspiracy or something. This happens over and over. And this is how social movements implode and stay irrelevant, because they stay in an echo chamber. And the tech firms aren't helping right now. That's another part of my current analysis. The way in which these groups are operating is unhelpful for breaking these echo chambers apart so that we can have more public discourse in general. The way they're acting is almost encouraging the construction of echo chambers. I think we're going to need the alt-tech groups to rise up for that not to be the case anymore. And once that happens, the current moral panic will begin to wane and it'll at some point quickly collapse. And people will have a good laugh and they'll look back on this whole, all of the events that are happening now for the last few years they'll laugh at them. Now, they'll say, well, that's the past. That was like, they'll liken it to the Victorian era, how it's seen currently. Oh, yeah, things were screwy. The way people thought wasn't accurate. and they were wrong. These movements, you know, they were wrong. But right now, because it's the modern era, it's 2017. A lot of these people don't see that. They think that their movement takes off and you know, becomes dominant forever. People have always made that mistake. Stability is never assured, but change is always assured. And so you have to keep an eye on that. You have to look back at the past. If you want to know how it overlaps with the present, that gives you a view to the future. But a lot of people won't do that. They don't want to. They don't want to take the time to look at the past. It wouldn't even take them long. It'd take them a couple months of total research and they would see what's happening right now. So if you want the inconvenient truth, as it may sometimes be, and sometimes a convenient truth, yeah, stay aboard, spread the word. The Styx is here. But if you want to be lied to, you're going to have to go elsewhere, because I'm not going to lie to people. It's like when people tell me, oh, just, it's like Christians used to do this a lot. They'd say, oh, just worship Jesus, what do you have to lose? Well, I don't believe in that sort of stuff, so I can't. I can make up a pretense. I could come out on YouTube, say, okay, I've converted to Christianity. I'm going to worship Jesus now. But it wouldn't be authentic. I'd be lying to everybody. And maybe I'd even benefit from that. Maybe I could become a megachurch pastor, have like 10 million bucks or something. Great, but it would be a lie. You know, I'd be violating the dogma that I'm proclaiming. I'd be just like a Peter Popoff or something like that. What, you really want me to be another Ted Haggard or something like that, minus the meth and the homosexual hookers, I guess, or something like that? It's like when people on the right or left, they're like, oh, just join us. You know, you need to choose a side. I can't. I don't believe in your ideology. It's impossible for me to do that. If I did, if I came out and proclaimed tomorrow, oh, I'm joining Antifa now, or I'm joining this identitarian movement, okay, that might win me some really hardline friends, but it would be a lie. It wouldn't be the truth. Wouldn't you rather me tell the truth to people as opposed to lying to their faces in order to benefit off of them? Some of these people have the audacity to say Styx straddles the fence in order to gobble up more donations. Now, I gobble up donations in place of ad revenue, which I never took. That was the only reason I ever took crowdfunding. If I wanted to gobble up more money, I'd proclaim myself to be a fanatic. I would join some fanatic group, some fringe group, because that's more lucrative. When you ramble and rave all day and you have a very, very diehard, ideologically fanatic group of people, as long as you know anything whatsoever about human psychology, you can get rich doing that stuff. People do it all the fire and brimstone ministers do this on a regular basis. People who declare themselves activists for some extremely fanatic outside cause often become extremely wealthy doing so. The money is not in being sane. The money is in projecting an image of yourself as being totally balls to the wall crazy. Rock stars do this too. It happens all the time. It's a pretense, though. Most of the time, they're totally different in real life. The megachurch pastor in real life is sitting there hiring a prostitute. The hardline atheist activist is secretly, when they stub their toe, they say, "Oh, Jesus Christ," or something like that. And all these, like Mike Enoch, not exactly being exactly a 1488er or something. People get lied to. And then the cognitive dissonance kicks in. They like these people so much because it's part of a cult of personality. They'll exonerate them even when they're exposed. There are still people who listen to Ted Haggard or Peter Popoff. There's still people who listen to these folks. They can do no wrong. It's a cult. That's all it is. It becomes a cult movement. So stay here for the truth, or you can go regress to your echo chambers. Doesn't matter what they are or what basis they're on. It doesn't have to be political. I provide, at this point, mostly political and social analysis and commentary. But I also do other things. Like I could pretend, okay, I'm abandoning the occult now because I've converted to, Hinduism or something. Again, it would be a lie. That would just be a marketing strategy. It would just be a career move. That's all it is. You got to be wary of people who pretend to be your best friend from within any ideological stance. Again, whatever type of stance that happens to be. Most of the time, those that are the most vocal about these things are actually the least authentic in their beliefs. And so they're not interested in telling you the truth, because if they did, they would sell half. They wouldn't make their millions of dollars or live in their gold-gilded palaces or something like that. It wouldn't happen. They wouldn't have as many fans because they would be sane. People are looking for some fringe. They're looking for escapism half the time. Why do you think sci-fi and fantasy literature is so beloved by culture? People want escapism. They want something new and novel and really, really out there that promises them all sorts of wonderful things that'll never be fulfilled. So yeah, stay here for the truth if you want to. If you want to know what's really going on. And there are other places you can go. And there are plenty of people. I've talked about plenty of these people before. I think Lionel Media does a good job. If you're more on the progressive side, there's Sane Progressive, H.A. Goodman, people like that. If you want to be more to the left side, Molyneux, Razor Fist, there are all sorts of people pro-liberty or right-leaning. Just pay attention to the alt media. There are plenty of people that are authentic in their views. Some are, some aren't. It's always the way that things have been. Yeah. So that's a little bit about truth versus comforting lies. That's about all. Peace out.